Welcome, friends, to the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour with your hosts, Sig Bisley and Colt Mauser. Before we get started, please be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content just like this. Now, let the animation appreciation commence.
All right, we'll finish up the world's greatest cup noodle commercial, possibly the world's greatest commercial ever. The only thing that even comes close is the Boost Mobile episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I mean,
Where you at, dog? Where you at?
that's pretty good.
I mean, 7-episode commercial is epic. Anyway.
It's actually a pretty decent anime.
Yes, a extremely pleasant surprise. I expected nothing out of it. I just thought it was a wacky idea, and Otomo had something to do with it.
I mean, it was 7 episodes, and they obviously spent some money on it. So why Cup Noodle would do that, I don't know. But hey, whatever.
I don't know.
Nissan Foods is a bunch of crazy fucking mad lads.
50th anniversary. Anyway, we finally got a chance to watch Lupin vs. Cat's Eye, and that was exactly as you would expect.
It's exactly as expected. We'll talk about it.
This week's episodes, but before any of that, as usual, the news.
So I'll start out with the least surprising news, but good that it's finally announced. So they have finally announced the DLC for Elden Ring.
Nice.
Shadow of the Erd Tree.
Whoa, the Erd Tree.
They say it's in development. Yeah, man, it's the Erd Tree. It's the giant yellow tree and all the Elden Ring marketing and whatever else. And in the game, you can see it from fucking everywhere. When you first start the game, you're like, I'm just going to go over there. It's so far away, you're not going over there.
Can you even get to it, or is it just like perpetually far away?
Oh, the final boss is inside the Erd Tree.
Ah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, but it's been a year. Like, play fucking Elden Ring, chumps.
Yeah, like, catch up.
What are you, Jesus Christ? What are you, some kind of freaking game journalist? Like, came and play some Elden Ring?
No, I'm lazy, man.
Jesus, not you. I would expect you to play it. It's a freaking third-person action game. It's not your jam. Anyway.
Sometimes I wish it was because I'd have more to do.
Well, it also ain't out for the Switch, so.
It's true. I'd have to spend more money.
It's on the PS4, but.
I got one of those kicking around.
Performance ain't so hot on the PS4, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, doesn't seem like it would be.
It's one of those things. Anyway, it's coming out, I'm assuming some point this year. They haven't given us a time frame, so I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Surprise.
Surprise, not surprise. Everybody assumed it was happening, but especially with the success of the
they've
game.
been talking shit about it for probably the better part of last year, I would imagine.
Yeah, but I don't know. Sekiro never got any DLC, which was surprising because every other FromSoft game got DLC. Except Demon Souls? I don't think Demon Souls is it, but Demon Souls is old. You know what I mean?
Ancient.
But I mean, all the Dark Souls games had DLC. At least 2 DLCs a pop. Bloodborne had a DLC. Yeah, Sekiro did not. Sekiro was the one. Anyway, there's always the chance that it didn't. And the question is, like, were they developing this concurrently and whatever? Armored Core's coming out this year, too, so there'll be lots of stuff. All right, anyway, moving on. Demon Slayer. So we talked about the movie being out a couple weeks ago and making all the money. That movie is coming out in... They're doing what they did with Mugen Train, coming out in series form, and then they're going to continue on, I assume, not just the Swordsmith Village arc. I assume they're going to continue right to the Hashira arc, but...
one would think.
It's going to come out April 9th, so we have a date for it now.
Oh, nice.
Sooner than I thought, so that's good. It's going to start with a 1-hour special.
I think it's such a fucking wagon money-wise that they just want to crank it out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I'm all about it, man.
That's a profit factory.
I don't want them to, skimp, because that last season was so gorgeous. You got to keep that up. But
like every episode was fucking movie. It was
ridiculous.
Crazy.
Ridiculous.
That's probably some of the nicest stuff I've seen to date. Just, for a series that wasn't like a movie or an OVA or something. Yeah. That's crazy.
So those big series are really, stepping up their game. Like Jujutsu Kaisen looked great.
That's the nice thing about it being big over here. Like, they just get
They're getting extra money.
Yeah. And they seem to spend it wisely, most of the time.
And they seem to be avoiding a lot of the bad influences so far.
No,
we'll see about that.
I mean, it's already on the fucking way out here, so hopefully it doesn't. You know how Japan is, like 10 years after.
I know. Everything, all your anime could be woke in a few years.
And then
I think it's more resistant to it, 1, because of the monoculture, and 2, because of a lot of those things already existed in anime. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
hard. It's hard to get that foothold. Like,
Well, they
I
already
need trans representation. Like, you already have that. I need gay representation. You already got that. You already got that.
Yeah, they already have their like factory ways of dealing with all that stuff, and they're not going to change it.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it makes them kind of resistant to it.
All you could do is like point at it, like already done. Fuck off.
It's like some sort of vaccine.
It is like some sort of vaccine that works.
Yeah, well, whatever. All right, moving on. Grendizer.
You know,
Grendizer time.
I love me some Grendizer.
So there's a new anime coming out. We've talked about that before. Now there is also a game coming out in the fourth quarter of this year. And this one will be on the Switch. So PS4, PS5, Switch, all the Xbox stuff, and the PC. UFO Robot Grendizer, The Feast of the Wolves.
Whoa.
I watched a little bit of the gameplay. Looks like a third-person action-y kind of game. Like, I don't know if it's Dynasty Warrior style, but it looked fun. I don't know.
In that vein, yeah.
If you like Grendizer, you've been kind of starved for content for a long-ass time. So,
so much ignoring Grendizer for like 20 fucking years.
So this is for you. And if you don't know what Grendizer is, it is the third project right after Mazinger Z and Great Mazinger.
The one that
And
you
that
never
Go-Nagai.
hear about because for some reason they just kept ignoring it.
And that Go-Nagai essentially a trilogy.
I mean, I have no problem with doing...
Yeah, they always continue and they skip Grendizer. We've bitched about this.
Yeah, I have no
before.
problem with doing Mazakaiser, but you could give me.
You could also have Grendizer. I mean,
Yeah,
why not?
exactly. I don't know
hell?
what the problem is.
And Mazinger Infinity and all that shit. And there's never any freaking Grendizer. So
Actually,
it's back.
the one that Emagawa did, that was going to do Grendizer, but then they never greenlit it for a second season because
It really needed a second
Emagawa.
season. Yeah.
Well, he wrote it for 2 seasons because they were going to do space shit, and then it just. I mean, they could do it next year for random.
Yeah.
But probably.
Give me my last 8 episodes of your Full Metal Panic first, please. For the love of God, you were so close.
Oh God, I gotta rewatch that last season.
Push it across the finish line.
because they really killed you. It was just like.
It kept getting delayed
Well, and you get one
between episodes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it was 3 fucking weeks per episode, and then you get I don't know, an episode and a half of Levitain, and that's it. It's just blue balls the whole time, and then it's meh.
Yeah, it was strangely a bit of an abortion. The quality of it was okay, but just it
Yeah, I
didn't
don't
come
know.
out in a normal schedule. I don't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah,
there.
it was weird. Well, I watched it as it came out, and I would probably like it a lot better if I wasn't waiting for episodes.
Yeah.
You know how that is.
Yeah, I do. All right, moving on. So, got some bit of streaming news here. So, High Dive has added Babylon, not Babylon 5, just Babylon.
Just Babylon.
And the anime to both their both in English and Japanese form, so subbed and dubbed.
Yep.
I'm Mark Schick, so I mean, I say added it. By the time you listen to this, if you listen to it the day it comes out, so it'll be in 3 days. So it damn well is out. I've heard good things about this. It came out. Sentai Filmworks released it on Blu-ray last year, so I don't know, something maybe to check out in the future. It's one of those things that could be really good or it could be really boring. I don't know, but
Yeah,
heard
it's hard
good
to
things.
say.
So maybe something we'll check out.
A lot
in
of
the
people
future.
like that really boring stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, Monster's kind of really boring too, but I like it. So
That has build up though. It's better paced. They ratchet up the tension.
it's
man.
all about the pace. With stuff like that, it is all about the pace. You got to have just enough going on. Enough of a mystery, enough of whatever. But anyway, Babylon is going to be available here, pretty readily available on High Dive soon. So check that out if you have High Dive in your area. All right. We got here more free stuff, so more streaming news, I suppose. This is just on YouTube, but Viz is making a whole bunch of series free on YouTube. Now, I'm sure it's going to have
fucking
ads and whatnot, but it's some pretty good anime. So you got Hunter x Hunter, and then it's the newer one, and you got Naruto, and you got what looks like the original Sailor Moon, not Crystal, but hey, those are some classics. Looks like Inuyasha, it was there already, so I mean, that's pretty good, right?
For free. I mean,
yeah, for free, some pretty big anime.
I'll buy that for no dollars.
So yeah, go check that out on Viz's channel there on YouTube. if you're looking for stuff for free and you don't want to sail the high seas, it's a good alternative. And if you have YouTube Red, you don't even have to watch the ads. So
It's true.
I don't have it because I don't want to give YouTube money, but I didn't say that, YouTube. Sorry, YouTube. I can't say Mama Susan don't beat me up. She's gone.
I really don't watch I rarely watch anything long enough that would have ads. Like almost never.
Yeah, sometimes they just jam ads on stuff regardless. I don't even care.
Well, plus the ad blocker cuts them out if you have one, usually.
I usually use the app, so it doesn't.
Oh, yeah, I never use the app.
Yeah. Anyway, more free stuff. Go check that out. Bunch of anime. The Hunter x Hunter one's really good. Don't expect it to have a real ending because don't expect it to have a real ending. But the end, it ends in a pretty good spot, especially if you kind of, it kind of half starts another arc and you kind of just ignore
it gets
that.
like literally 2 episodes into a new arc and then it just craps out. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
You gotta watch out about that. But the arc before that's really good.
I
so.
would just stop when that arc is done.
Yeah,
that's like the best arc too.
The ants. Oh yeah, it's good stuff. I won't spoil any of that. It's too good. All right, got more stuff coming out here. So I think I brought this up before, but RPG Maker Unite. So a new version of RPG Maker is coming out on April 6th. And it's going to be on the Unity Asset Store first, which I don't even know what the hell that is.
Whatever the fuck that
is. It is eventually going to be on Steam, so you may have to wait a little longer to get it on Steam. You could always get it from the Unity Store and probably add it to Steam because you can always add stuff to Steam. It's going to have an English version and a Japanese version. I'm sure most of you might be weebs, but you're not weeb enough to be using the Japanese version.
True.
But it's going to have more tools and stuff for RPG Maker. RPG Maker's pretty cool. If you don't know about it, it basically lets you make, it used to be like Super Nintendo era RPGs. Now it's probably closer to like PS1 era looking RPGs.
You're making maps, basically.
Well, all that stuff. Dialogue, story, characters.
I like the map making part the best.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's pretty cool. So, I mean, go check that out if you're into that. It's one of those things I've always wanted to do, but I would never I could never see it through. Plus, how much time am I going to spend on it? And then who's even going to play it, right? So
it's true.
It's just very cool, but, people have made successful RPGs using RPG Maker software in the past. But,
yeah, it's a super cool idea just for that.
It's something to check out for sure. Very, very cool. All right. So this was a project that I thought was just kind of cool, and I really want to check it out. So this is called Naked Peak Climb the Mountains of Madness.
Whoa. And
apparently there's a pilot out on YouTube, which I haven't watched yet. I don't know if it's got subs, but I'll check it out regardless. And it was crowdfunded. So it's an anime based on a tabletop RPG, Mountains of Madness.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
So it looks like anime characters jammed into Lovecraft, which is interesting because their outfits are very anime. The setting is very Antarctica.
Yeah, one would assume.
Very sinister. I'm interested in this, man, just because
creepy alien city.
I love me some Lovecraft, and hey, even if it's got a strange mix of things, right, with the kind of bright colored anime theme going on, because these colors are way too bright for Lovecraftian stuff.
Yeah, you would think they'd kind of dial that back a little bit.
You know what? I'm into it. The weirder the better, right?
Listen, it's not fucking Demon Bane.
Yeah, so like I said, it's on YouTube now. Yep, it's already on YouTube. I don't know if it's got subs. I'm gonna check it out. Maybe it's something we'll review in the near future because it looks interesting.
Yeah, I'll look it up tomorrow.
I'm into it. You know what I mean? I'm into the idea anyway. So I guess we'll see about that. So if you want to check that out, just do a little search there for Naked Peak, Climb the Mountains of Madness. Hope you don't get just a bunch of porn. And should be something cool.
Yeah, searching Naked Peak seems dangerous.
Yeah, hey,
just
maybe have some safe search on or something. I don't know.
Right.
All right. So, and believe me, it's probably not the worst thing anybody who listens to this is searching a week.
It's true.
All right. So this is the strangest idea of a spin-off manga that I've ever heard of.
Ever.
It's a spin-off of 86.
Really?
Involving magical girls. Yeah, exactly. I see the look on your face. How the hell does that work?
I'm trying to think of any kind of like any place they could insert magical girls into that.
Well, I mean, it's Japan. I mean, they can insert magical girls anywhere.
Into anything, I guess.
Including your butt boy.
Whoa.
Don't pretend like that's not a thing.
I guess.
Anyway, yeah, this is just a crazy damn spinoff. I'm sure it's going to be one of those, like, use the characters. It's not really the same universe,
like
whatever.
Wacky.
That's usually how those work. But I saw it just one. I gotta at least bring this up because it's crazy. Apparently, it's going to debut on March 27th in Kurokawa's monthly Comic Alive magazine. So obviously in Japanese.
Yeah.
I would hope for a translation. So if you want to read it, I'd learn some moon runes.
Yeah, or like pay somebody to translate it for you.
Yeah. Or hope there might be fan translations. Who the hell knows? Anyway, if you are into Magic Girls at 86, look forward to this on March 27th. All right, so I promise this is my last bit of Elden Ring news for the day. But it's won yet another Game of the Year, much to game journalist chagrin, at the DICE Awards. So I don't put much stock in awards, but I will use them to rub it in the faces of stupid game journalists who can't understand things that are good.
You know what really rubs it in the face of like stupid game journalists? The fact that they're being replaced by like chatbots.
Oh, there's no.
By this time next year, literally, they will not exist.
None of those people will have jobs, which it would be a bit sad, except there is no actual journalism in journalism anymore for the most part.
Well, the real ones will stay. You know what I mean? However many there are. Like
all two of them? Like, I don't even know if there's two. I'd have to think about it. You know what I mean?
There's a few. There's like bounding into comics, like stuff like that, where they're not really game journalists. They're everything
Well,
journalists.
sure. But you know what I mean? There's very few.
Oh, yeah. Like if you worked for Kotaku or something, you're a clown. Yeah. I mean, it's just the way it is.
The problem is it's going to keep outlets like that alive for a long time to come because they don't have to pay any damn money.
Yeah,
you're just going to get garbage articles for forever. Yeah, but it's just that'll keep perpetuated. Anyway, moving on. I've rubbed a face in it enough. All right, so fitness boxing. I've talked about this before, but it's happening. March 2nd in the West, you can get yourself fitness boxing. Fist of the North Star.
Oh, man, I want it.
And since, as of right now, it's March 2nd, you better go pick up a copy of Fitness Boxing, Fist of the North Star.
I don't know that I need to fitness box, but
sir,
I kind of want it.
I don't think you can afford not to fitness box because you, sir, are already dead. So this is out today.
I assume it's got to be a Wii game.
Yesterday,
right?
Whatever. It is on the Switch.
That's what I meant. Wii.
The Wii.
Such a Well, I was thinking of the, all the stupid
you
Wii games I used to play. But yeah, the Switch does the same thing.
Man, you can punch your way through all the enemies that stand in your way.
That actually sounds kind of fun.
It probably is, right?
I'm probably going to pick it up if it's out. It can't be that much money.
It's probably a standard $50, $60.
Yeah, that sounds worth it.
It might be less, but that's probably what it is. Anyway, it's out. Go check it out. Kenshiro demands you check it out.
I need to punch up a sweat.
And demands you get in shape and take out Ralph for him because
fucking demands I smell
bad. Speaking of which, it's a good segue.
Wow, accidental segue.
So, voice actress and singer Takahashi Rie has, which I don't really know. Sorry, people. But
no idea.
She has advised her fans to bathe before they go to her concert.
Oh, can you imagine the sea of like, it's like going to like Gen Con or something where it's just you hit that wall of just guys who haven't been out of their apartments in like 6 months.
Oh, yeah. It also says don't forget to bring your wallet because, of course.
Well, yeah.
Like, give me your filthy bucks. Give me your filthy money.
She's only there
filthy
for your
yen.
money, man.
Oh, my God. Oh, she's got tips about wearing a mask properly, too. So that's... Sorry, Japan. Sorry, people that are in Japan. That shit's going to be there forever. Like
they already did that, though, so...
It's just... Yeah, but I mean...
Masks are like a cultural thing.
It's going to be like more universal and all the time and not just sometimes.
Wow. Well, that's what happens when you're subservient Japanese people.
It is a cultural issue for sure. Collectivism is dangerous.
If that's what they're into, that's fine. As long as they're all in on it. I don't care.
Yeah. Anyway, you filthy savages. Wash your damn self before you go to a concert, will you?
Fucking, you're going to get the hose if you don't.
Especially if you were just getting lathered up doing your fitness boxing. Kentro demands it. All right. The last bit of news is the, what's that? What's that I hear? What's that hammering sound I hear? Oh, it's the last nail being put in the coffin of E3. The final one. Because before, PlayStation and Xbox pulled out. Now, obviously, Nintendo's like, yeah, no, we're not.
We're not going to be the only
We're
ones
not
there.
here
That's
either,
lame.
And they do their own Nintendo Directs anyway, so they're
Yeah,
never going
it
to show
doesn't
up. So
matter.
I don't know who's going to be at E3. I'm assuming it's going to be a bunch of Chinese companies that nobody cares about.
Yeah, right.
They may as well just cancel it. It's so bad. Like, E3 is dead. It's just dead.
I wonder what their attendance was the last year they actually did it. Did they do it in person last year, or was it fucking...
They did a reimagined virtual event in 2021.
Was it Zoom time?
They canceled it in 2020. And they canceled it last year, too.
Yeah, so it's dead, basically.
It's dead. They're trying to bring it back, and it's
You're
dead.
never coming back. Nobody cares anymore.
It is dead.
Nobody cares about any of that. That's like up there with awards shows. Like, nobody cares. You guys are all retarded and fuck off.
Yeah.
Have your stupid circle jerk like somewhere else.
People are done with it. And it's not like, there's other conventions, although I don't know, freaking PAX is falling apart too. But PAX was the one where people were like, oh, I can go try out new stuff. I can play games, whatever. That's
PAX
fun.
just became fucking Nazis. Like,
Authoritarians, man.
I mean, you saw the rules for like booths that year. Because we were thinking about...
Oh my God, it was like puritanical.
Yeah, we were thinking about...
They were going to measure like skirt heights for fuck's sake.
Yeah, like I was thinking about getting a booth for one of my Etsy stores. And it's just like if you have girls anywhere near your booth, like they couldn't have like skirts above the knee or like it was just
it was crazy.
It was like we were in the Victorian era. Like some like neckbeard sees a fucking ankle and he's going to like come in his pants and die.
It was batshit insane. Like...
It was the weirdest shit I've ever seen.
We are like, I never thought I'd see this shit from the left. I only thought it was the religious right, but yeah, here we are.
And then they closed down half the bathrooms for like trans people, except nobody used them.
Literally nobody used them.
Because trans people will just go in whatever bathroom they want to.
Which they were allowed to do.
Go to.
So it was just
weird. It just basically made a bottleneck to take a piss. And
Yes, it
everybody,
did.
literally everyone was mad.
Women were most affected.
I told
Actually,
that
for
story
once.
100 times about that. The girl who like walked in and then caught the sign like as she was walking by and then made a face and like turned around and left.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, unisex bathrooms are weird. Don't do it.
Yeah, they had them in college. They were weird.
It just seems like a bad idea. Especially at a convention like that. That just seems like,
Well, and it just, like you said, it just limited the amount of bathrooms total you had.
Yeah, if like nobody's going to use them.
Which is just dumb. Like, it's fine. Like, if you want to have like one in one location, just be, fine. But they had them like interspersed. It just didn't work.
You also can't confuse all those autistic kids because they're just like, they like wander around like cats and they have nowhere to pee.
They have
It's just
no idea what to do.
It was a bad time. That and the fucking 7,000 metal detectors that
Didn't do anything, and all it did was put people. All it was the worst OPSEC ever. It was like, yes, we will have metal detectors, so everybody bunches up, and then if somebody really wanted to do something, they could really do something.
I wish I had like fuck you money because I would just get my like band of assholes together. We just go in there with airsoft guns, like just to prove that their security is garbage. And then I'd have the money to bail myself out of fucking super jail.
That's right. You can't do that, man. Come on. But they used to do that stuff for like banks and hacking and stuff. Like security testing.
That's what I mean.
Like that's just it's bad. It's like it's so dumb. Other places like Gen Con just have plainclothes people that mix in.
They had folding.
That makes more sense.
No, but they literally had folding tables like between the metal detectors.
It was like it was really.
I could
dumb.
just slide over that, man.
Yeah, it was not going to stop any sort of bad actor. It's not. PAX is dead to me. It's such
Either way, and that was
poorly
like,
run convention.
That was like 2015 or something, or 2016.
No, that was like 2019.
No way, we went earlier.
Yes, it was like 2019.
Are you sure?
Yes, God.
What year did we go? What was the last year we went to Gen Con?
2018, I think.
I feel like it was earlier.
No, it wasn't.
I don't trust you. I'm going to look it up. Because I really think it was earlier.
Your sense of time is poor, sir.
It doesn't matter. Whatever. Continue.
Anyway, I'm not going to continue. You know why? Because that's it.
It's over.
It's over.
It's a weak amount of news. Actually, no, it wasn't.
Listen, man.
Standard amount of news.
You like the amount of news I got. You get your own damn news.
No,
Hookers
I
and
demand more
blackjack.
Did you hear about that Funko Pop thing? That was the only thing that I read today. That was funny.
That they basically have way too much inventory.
They have like
and they're
$30 million worth of like Star Wars crap they can't unload, and they're just gonna like dumpster it.
You've been to Newberry Comics, like just a wall of Funko Pops that no one cares about.
I thought that was interdasting.
Like they were obviously going to overproduce. It was Beanie Babies 2.0.
Yeah, it's true.
It's not that they didn't make a ton of money. They did. It's just that those things always kind of get out of control. They don't know how to rein it in.
Dial it back. I mean, they're fucking dust collectors. You know what I mean? Like, they don't do anything. They just sit there. Who the fuck has like that much room anymore anyway? I have boxes of like Chagakins and like all kind of like expensive figures and stuff. I don't know where to put them anymore. Like, I need a bigger place to live.
Dedicated damn game room.
Yeah, you really do. Anyway, so
episodes.
Giant Beasts of Ars.
Get into it now, man. It's getting towards the end.
Yeah, they're
towards
like
the final arc.
They're like deep into it. So the guys who are up to no good, the kid's name is Lord Mizami, and the old guy is Lord Balka. I finally wrote down their names because, like, they never say them. I think they've been mentioned, like, twice. Like, you know, somebody said their names, like, twice in the entire series.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Jiro has to fight Facade, and he's going to get his ass kicked because Kumi goes to deal with, like... They get into Kumi's backstory, how she was like the 22nd one. They all died before her.
Yep.
Basically. So she was like the first one to survive.
Of the artificials.
Yeah. And then, so she ran away. And then the ones after her have like a failsafe so they can't, like, you know, they can't just leave, change their mind and fucking leave. You know what I mean? So when Jiro and Facade are fighting, she goes to chase after the clone that's after her. And the clones are basically like nukes. Like, their job is to just like unleash all their power. It's a nuclear explosion and then they die.
Wow.
That's why there's so many.
Awful.
Yeah, it's pretty shitty, right? Which is why 22 fucking bounced. Or Kumi. So anyway, Kumi doesn't want her to die, even though that's like her fucking job. So she basically hugs the shit out of her until she realizes that she doesn't want to die and she could just like live in the outside world like normal. But then the failsafe kicks in, she nukes anyway. But then that ring that Jiro gave Kumi like at the beginning, like when they made their first pact to be a team or whatever. I think it was actually his wife's ring originally. But it did some crazy shit, and it basically, like, stopped the explosion from spreading. And then the clone lived a little while, but, I don't know, died eventually. And then Jiro basically can't beat that guy. But that old guy that's been creeping around, like, at the very beginning, they had a couple scenes with, like, it was basically a retired...
Some foreshadowing.
Yeah, it was a retired cleric and paladin team. And so, like, the paladin's been creeping around, like, following Jiro because he knows, like, something's going on. But then Jiro's got it, like, he's just about to get his ass beat. And then that guy shows up and they outnumber him. So Facade has to bounce. And that's basically... Thick Rabbit Chick still hasn't done a goddamn thing. I feel like everybody else is window dressing at this point. Like Melon and, like, you know, the Chapeau does it. That is like the most interesting mechanic, like, not mechanic, but the thing about that show is like every fucking village has to have like a Chapeau to like like, I don't know, like, mediate things. It's weird. Every village they go to, there's another little weird chick with like a weird animal on her head, and like
that's a very anime thing to do.
Yeah, and then what the hell's her name? Oh, Maya. Yeah, obviously. Maya has to like deal with her. They have to like come to an agreement so they can enter the village. I don't know. It's a neat thing. It's very consistent. They actually gave a shit when they wrote this show. Like it's very
it's kind of rare.
It's got like stuff. I don't know, like just little stuff like that. I love. Anyway, so that's basically where they're at. They still. I cannot remember that other chick's name. She didn't show up to do anything. Like they have, Bakla talking to the emperor, empress, whatever the fuck it is. I can't tell if it's a man or a woman. It's just like a creepy human thing. It's like they're trying to get her to raid. Like, I guess their whole beef is they don't like the animal people. Like they're like human nationalists.
Sure.
I guess you would call them. So they want to like force them out.
Speciesists.
Yeah, like that's what their whole game is apparently, is to like force all the like other creatures that aren't human like out of their kingdoms. So that's what all their stupid paladin experiments and shit are about. So they got down to all that. They've kind of like revealed the end game. And so it was a good episode. Like you got a lot of backstory, a lot of information. So
Okay.
good stuff.
What else you got? You get Revenger?
Revenger. They're basically leaning hard into the opium thing. That seems to be like the overarching plot. The first like 6 to 8 episodes of a series, they have a lot of like one-offs, and now they're leaning into like they have to like keep that fucking cop from getting the opium. And then there's like the Chinese guys, they're there. And they're always having misunderstandings because they're kind of trying to do the same thing, but they don't speak the same language. And then wherever Jiro ends up, like that Chinese guy is always there and he thinks he's up to no good. So they always end up fighting each other. But then the Chinese guy gets murked this episode. So, and then the cop, like the young guy who's trying to find the opium.
Yep.
He basically hires, I bet there's a lot of Revengers, like different bands of them. You know what I mean? It's not just those guys that, the anime is about. So he hires other ones basically to kill Jiro and, his group. And he pays them like a ridiculous amount of money. So,
so some judge on judge crime.
Yeah, exactly. So that was it. It was the build up to that. Like Jiro runs into one of them, but they don't know who each other are, and they have dinner together. And
that's a trope.
Super classic trope.
That's a trope.
But yeah, that was basically that episode. Like they're getting into the final.
Well, it's because they don't wear Oakleys in that world. It's not so obvious.
Yeah, you don't know he's an operator.
That's right.
He's got a beard and Oakleys, man. That was like the funniest thing about that show. It was just like, come on, man. I know he looks exactly like one, but like that shouldn't be here. Like, what if he's just some like homeless guy?
Yeah, watch
who,
the Terminal List, people.
Found some fucking Oakleys somewhere.
Good stuff.
I'm just gonna shoot him anyway. Pew, 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 pew.
All right. Handyman Saito.
Oh, they finished up the arc with the ninja and the It's funny because like he has to give up his life, but the whole thing with that witch is weird because she outlived her lifespan like thousands of years ago. Like she's been alive for so long.
Yep.
So I don't know how, like are they just bringing her back to like when she got cursed? However old she was. I'll assume.
So she's just going to turn to dust?
Yeah. Like I'll just assume.
Is she going to turn into the matriarch?
Yeah. I don't know. I'll just assume that it went back to the point right before she got cursed, because that seems like it. But anyway, like the king is like incognito. He's like pretending he's not the king.
No, so he's like the wizard king from freaking
yeah, exactly.
Black Clover.
So anyway, he's like gonna do the ritual. Like it turns out he has this ridiculous magic sword where he just like if he kills the ninja, it will like give her life back.
Okay.
But he apparently has because he's a magnanimous king, he has that fairy's black wings. Like they couldn't reattach him, so he's just got them. So he's like, I'll just take these black wings because that's like half a life, and I'll just cut pieces off you until it works, which is fucking hilarious. So he's missing an arm and a leg now.
Jesus.
But he's still kind of a badass because he's a super ninja. So that's how that played out, basically. And it turns out Morlock, he remembers like the spells, And it turns out, like he gets part of his memory back and he remembers like the time spells and shit. And it turns out that he was the one that accidentally summoned Saito there.
Okay.
Because at the beginning he does pop up in like their house. So it makes sense.
So it's answering some mysteries.
Yeah. And it turns out he can probably send him back, but he was about to get hit by a truck like before he got sucked into the other world. And he's like, if I send you back, you're just going to get hit by that truck. So like he still can't go back.
Do you want to take your chances?
He doesn't really want to either. So it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then
that's also a classic kind of trope or setup at least.
And it's funny, like him and Rauza, like she's about to like confess her undying love because she doesn't want him to leave. And then like this giant worm monster like fucking jumps out of nowhere and like bites her. And like she rips it off her head and just like tears it in half as she's like confessing to him. It's a great scene. It's just funny.
I like that. I
would be terrified if I was Saito.
Yeah, I don't.
He wants snoo.
That's a little. Yeah, it's a little scary.
And that was basically like
that would be like making time with Aisha Clan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Man, she's gonna fucking wolf out on you.
Probably not the best idea.
So that was like the nuts and bolts of that episode. There was some other stuff where he's like trying to collect shit because there's that whole room in the dungeon that's just like that like other time wizard was in. There's just so much crap from his because he found a Roomba in another room and he was just like trying. That's how he found like the new part of the dungeon. So he just takes as much crap as he can and they all like pull it out of the dungeon so he can like I don't know use it because I mean they're like hundreds.
If I ever go on a fucking D adventure and I find a fucking Roomba and that's my treasure, I'm not going to be very happy.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a treasure, but they don't find a lot of treasure. A lot of like empty treasure chests. But it's enough to get by, I guess. At any rate, Trigun. They're getting like deep into Trigun backstory.
I was going to say, I hope you like flashbacks because it's a backstory episode.
This is a way more serious tone than original Trigun.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah.
I'd go with that.
I was just watching like clips from original Trigun the other day.
It's definitely wackier.
Yeah, it's like wackier, more cartoony. I mean, it's indicative of the late 90s. You know what I mean? They were just kind of like Cowboy Bebop was like the most serious thing of that time. Probably.
And even that, a lot of it wasn't serious.
A lot of it was wacky.
It was like those mythology episodes, whatever you want to call them. Like the main story episodes that really were.
Yeah, that was like the only really
serious.
Dark part of it. But anyway.
So, yeah, it's backstory.
Yeah, it's like
right after Vash and Knives crashed.
Yeah, it's like all the how they crashed, what happened after they crashed, who took care of Vash.
Vash getting picked up by that crew from the other ship that managed to like crash land at least and not like completely blow up.
How he gets his red jacket.
Yep. How he is indeed a plant.
Yeah.
Or some sort of plant-human hybrid that they made.
Yeah, because all the plants on the crashed ships keep freaking out, and he has to go, like, I don't know, stare longingly into their eyes.
Yeah,
they, like,
fix them. Definitely some psychic something going on there. It's looking like it's a two-parter.
Yeah,
for just backstory.
They definitely... So. Listen, all those people he was friends with have to die, unfortunately.
They totally do. Well, yeah, he just, at the end, he runs into Knives in the past.
Yeah,
because it doesn't
when they're both still like teenagers, probably.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't really have anything from the current. It's not one of those episodes where they're kind of interspersing the current storyline with the backstory.
It's just all backstory for the most part.
The backstory dump. Good episode, good backstory, but it's going to be 2 weeks of backstory information dump. So
yeah,
do with that what you will. The anime was at a point where Trigun was at a point where they could do that. It wasn't like Attack on Titan where it's just like, oh, it's a cliffhanger. Let's give you a bunch of backstory.
Nah, he basically left to go find Knives after the whole fucking cruise ship bullshit thing. And then they're kind of just stopping there to... It's a good... You're right.
It was a good spot to put the backstory.
Because they weren't like really building up to anything. And now they're basically... I would imagine this will be the... I assume they're doing 24, 26, whatever.
I'm assuming that too, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
But anyway, I would imagine this is building up to like the midpoint arc. Because even when they do...
That's what it feels like.
When they do a 24, it's usually like episode 12 will be kind of a high point.
Yep.
Like close up that arc.
And we're only on episode 8, I think.
Yeah, I
it's
think
episode
we're
8,
around
so
8. So
yeah, it's like the backstory before you get into that. Like it'll probably be a super serious arc
yeah.
up to episode 12 or 13, and then it'll do the classic like some more one-off kind of episodes.
Yeah.
We'll see how it progresses. I'm still enjoying it. A lot of this is going to depend on how they stick the landing.
Vash is way more of a sack in this one. Because he was way more happy-go-lucky in the original.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just like a sad sack in this one.
He's just, it's a lot more depressing. Like I said, it's more serious in tone.
And he does not shoot anything ever. I don't even know why he has a gun. I don't even know why they
shoots
call
a
it
lot of
Trigun.
like robots and stuff out of the air and
Almost
stuff.
never. I mean, maybe once every
does.
third episode he'll like pull out the jammy.
This is a damn backstory episode where he doesn't even have the gun.
No, but I mean, I'm just saying he's like in the old one, he
never had like ammo in the old one. I felt like, but
yeah, it's kind of true. Like I never got ammo, guys.
Just a trope. But it's a freaking giant revolver that shoots 22.
I also need to know how he got like crazy robot arm too.
Yeah,
I'm assuming he's got
yet.
like Knives is gonna cut his arm off like the beginning of next episode. That's my prediction.
I'm assuming that's what it's gonna be, right? Like it's the only thing that makes sense. And I'm assuming he gets the robot arm from the technology from the ship.
Yeah,
because this is like the early days where the people, because it's probably a couple 100 years ago or whatever, right? Because it's been a long time since they've been on that planet, or 100 years ago or whatever it is. And they're all a bunch of nerds. It's all a bunch of freaking engineers and navigators and whatever else.
Oh, and they reveal that he's a plant, but he can't actually produce anything. Like Knives clearly makes knives.
Knives, yeah, he acts as a sub-dimension. He has all kinds of knives and other stuff,
shit.
and who knows what else. Apparently, Knives did say something to him in that episode where they were, when he actually fought him a little bit.
Yeah,
where Vash can access some of that stuff. Like that's gonna be what
you would
assume
so, because
right?
I mean, Knives is essentially untouchable, and then he's got that ridiculous psyker guy that could just like destroy cruise ships with his mind.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're gonna really, really have to like up the ante on Vash and Wolfwood before there's any kind of final battle.
Very interested to see where it goes for sure.
Yeah, no, it's definitely piqued my interest more so than the original. Plus, you got that sexy animation. I don't know. The story's just paced a little different, and it's like way darker than the original, I think.
Yeah. No. Again, it'll how it sticks the landing will be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Key. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to the other thing we watched this week. So we were doing Venture Brothers. We will go back to Venture Brothers. We've actually rewatched all of season 2, so
next week
we were ready to talk about it, but this came up out of nowhere. I knew this was coming out, but didn't know it was going to be available on Amazon so quickly. Lupin III versus Cat's Eye. In the traditional anime sense of verses, where there's a little bit of verses, then a lot more teaming up, because that's
get
how that
like,
always works.
If it's a 60, or if it's like a 90-minute movie, you get like 20 minutes of verses, and then the rest.
The rest is team up. So this has CG. So this is 3D CG. It's not quite as good as the Lupin the First stuff. It's probably about the same level as like Trigun.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's very similar. The style's obviously different. It's more Lupin. Although it's interesting to see the mix of styles there, because Cat's Eye's a little. I mean, it's not that out of place because Cat's Eye was from the early '80s, so the style back then wasn't that different.
Yeah, Cat's Eye has that more Western, early like 80s to early 90s style, where everything's less anime, no big eyes, no small. So, I mean, to a degree, but not nearly as bad as now.
So we've talked about Lupin a million times. If you don't know about Lupin, I don't even know what to say to you. Cat's Eye, little less known, right? A lot less known, but still was a pretty famous franchise back in the day.
They haven't done anything modern with it.
No, they have not. And
I guess like the main story is like it's so old.
This is a 40th anniversary.
Like if their dad was a famous painter and had all his paintings looted in World War II.
Well, the original was
down. Like that's the
manga was from 81.
Yeah, so that makes kind of sense. Yeah.
Yes. So Cat's Eye,
but it's like a logistical problem to update it.
It's three sisters. They're sexy young thieves. Young being like, I don't know, the oldest one's probably like 30 and the youngest one's probably like 18.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? Like, or like 28 and 16, or I don't know their exact ages, but it's a spread like that, right? Like where one's kind of the older one in the 30s or
what's
late
kind
20s.
of the mom figure.
Yeah, a little more.
And then the
mom-like.
youngest one is like the pain in the ass teenager.
Kind of like exactly. But not like a little kid, like fully grown.
Yeah.
And it's not really etchy in any way, so it's whatever.
I mean, their outfits are dirty, but no more than anything else.
Yeah, they're skin tight suits for sneaking and stealing stuff, so it actually makes sense. And they don't. It's not just cheesecake.
It's not
hyper
fan service.
No, it's not. It's fine. Like it's perfectly fine. It's as anime should be, right? There should be some visual appeal. So anyway, story is about a series of paintings that their father did a bunch of paintings. You said that already. And their whole thing is they want to steal back all of their father's paintings that were like stolen by the Nazis, right?
Yeah. Back
in the day. And this particular one focuses on 3 paintings he did that were
of them. So
right?
They have like sentimental value.
Yeah, so they have extra sentimental value.
And then Lupin wants them because they have like secret jewels.
He ran into this guy back in the day. It's typical Lupin stuff with secret societies, and like if you have these jewels, like you could be like the ruler of the world, but then they always betray the person who like has them, and the second you lose them, you die.
Yeah.
Like, that's the legend. That does come into play. So there is a plot to get these jewels by like the son of one of the guy who used to have the jewels, who's a German white nationalist.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's quite a neo-Nazi, but close enough.
It doesn't seem very
from the
neo-Nazi-y,
80s,
but yeah.
Yeah, definitely not a good guy, but he turns out not to be the evilest either. And then there's the other assholes who are even eviler, who had their eyes on the jewels for forever. You got all the classic Lupin characters. You got Fujiko. You got Goemon. You got Jigen, Daisuke Jigen. You got Pops, right? So you got all those class characters. You got all the Cat's Eye characters. It's not just like it's only Lupin or something.
No,
whatever.
They do a phenomenal job of tying the two franchises together.
They do, and they do a good job of not making anybody too much of a chump or too ridiculous.
Because like Pops teams up with I forget his name, like the cop that's always chasing Cat's Eye.
Yes.
Because like he's like a lot younger than Zenigata, and like he's total Zenigata fanboy. So it's like there's
Toshio.
There's a little bit of that, which is super funny. And then you got like the whole thing where Lupin knew their dad back in the day, and it's just it's very well written how they tied the franchise together.
Yeah, because Toshio's like idolizes Zenigata.
You did not have to suspend disbelief.
Zenigata can't even get his name right.
Yeah, he's always calling him like the wrong name and shit.
But funny. It's just a cool movie. It's fun, right? It's a fun 90-minute caper adventure movie, right? It's the kind of movie that I wish they did more of in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, it's great, like old school pulp. A fucking caper, like 2 crews of,
It's like if Red Notice was less retarded.
Yeah, it's true.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody loves a team up caper movie.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. Animation is good. Like I said, it's pretty much exactly the same tier as Trigun.
Yeah.
So looks a little nicer than something like Kaina.
Yeah. They do the standard Lupin plot where like everybody thinks he's like a murderer at the beginning, and he was the one that like screwed over their dad and blah blah blah, and then it all comes out later.
It's very trope. Don't expect anything super innovative. Expect good, well-executed pulp. And this is why Lupin is always so good, because that's all it is and that's all it needs to be.
Well, nothing's better than a trope done correctly. Like,
also,
that makes the world go round.
It's pink jacket Lupin, which you don't get a ton of.
Oh, yeah, 80s, baby.
Which is good. Super 80s style.
Which is cool because, 80s. Because Cat's
80s.
Eye was 80s,
Yeah.
And the time matches up, basically. Because like I said, it's hard to get Cat's Eye, like... Actually, no. Yeah, no, that works. Like, if he got his paintings stolen in World War after, like... They stole his paintings in World War II.
Yeah.
And he was, like, 20 when he painted them or something?
Let's say he was 20 to 30. And then he had daughters. People had daughters. He could have had them later. I mean...
That's what I mean. So, like, it actually works if it's, like, early 80s.
Yeah.
Assuming the oldest one is like, 28, 30, something.
Yeah,
like
which
that.
means she was probably born in the early 50s.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it makes perfect sense. Yeah. I think it is set in the 80s, but it's hard to tell. It
doesn't matter. It never even
doesn't
comes
really
up.
matter.
You know what I mean? It's
I can't remember if they had
basically
cell phones. That's something I can't remember.
it's basically contemporary.
I meant to look, but it doesn't matter. It's like Lupin. It doesn't really matter.
Nah, not at all.
It's not like something like Lupin the First where it's clearly meant to be
Yes,
set in the right time
a
period.
of time. Yeah.
Like Lupin works kind of like on James Bond rules where like it just constantly gets updated and you don't address it and it doesn't matter.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Definitely recommend it.
Oh yeah, 100% check it out. I think it's on Amazon.
This may not be the best thing, but it's the guy who directed the Godzilla trilogy, which mixed feelings on that, but
Yeah, it just got weird.
did a much better job here. Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. It's available. It doesn't cost anything on Amazon Prime except your Amazon Prime fee. So go check it out. If you can't find it on Amazon Prime, you don't want to give Amazon Prime your money, yar to tartar. You know what to do.
Yeah, like it's pretty easy to find.
All right. So do you want to talk about the final thing of the day?
I do.
Talk about seafood cup noodles, the new all the rage because Earth's got its own flavor of cup noodles. It's ridiculous. So ridiculous.
It's like the weirdest thing I've ever run into.
So Freedom. So if you're listening to this before, Freedom is it's not really a commercial. I mean, it is. It was sponsored by
It's
Nissan
a 7
Foods.
episode OVA that was sponsored by Nissan, the
Cup
company
Noodles.
that does cup noodles, for their 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
And they dragged in a lot of fairly big names to do it, and it's actually very good.
It was produced by Sunrise, and
Otomo did the design.
Dai Sato wrote it. It's kind of silly. Like there's a lot of talent going on here
for a 7 episode cup noodles commercial.
This is also surprisingly good. And it's very.
It's a fucking great story. I was in 100%.
It's a very solid hero's journey kind of story, right?
Yeah, it's exactly what you want. It's great.
The call to adventure, all that good stuff. So anyway, last time we'd left off.
Takaru is a fucking maniac, though.
Yeah, Takaru and Bismarck. Biz had taken off and escaped the moon. The Eden colony on the moon. That's super advanced, but it's
it's super totalitarian.
Yeah.
Not to the point where they're jackboot thugs, but
your whole life is managed, right? Everything is managed
to the minute. You have no say in it. So
yeah,
but they keep people
it's a
happy
gilded cage.
Enough where very rarely do people give a shit.
It's a gilded cage, right? And they keep telling people, well, the Earth is destroyed, and they do that because they, of course, know better. It's like the managerial elite here.
Yeah,
you'll just destroy Earth again with this technology, so you can't possibly know the Earth is fine. So Takeru and company had found out that the Earth is fine because they saw some rockets from Earth that crashed on the moon and had pictures and stuff in them. You find out here you actually meet the people who were sending those up. So Takeru and Bismarck hooked up with Alan, the guy who used to run the Institute, because the whole point of the Eden colony was actually to be a launch pad for a mission to Mars and to terraform Mars. But that never got off the ground because Earth kind of collapsed under political decay and nuclear war and whatever else.
Sounds familiar.
So they just stayed on Earth, or they just stayed on the moon. Anyway, Takeru and Bismarck get to Earth, but unfortunately they were aiming for Florida. They screw up a little bit.
They did really bad math, and they ended up in Las Vegas.
They ended up in Las Vegas, which honestly, if you're going to miss,
you at least hit the continent.
Exactly. You're maybe 2,000 miles away, but at least you didn't land in China or something where how the hell are you ever
or the middle
there?
of fucking Pacific Ocean.
Or the North Atlantic
they
or something.
They could have easily been screwed.
Yeah. So they have to figure out how to get from Vegas to Florida. And you see the Earth it's hard to tell at first because it's it's a wasteland. You're in the desert.
Yeah.
And you travel across a lot of
Vegas is they land basically on the strip and it's a wreck.
So the Earth's not completely decimated. The civilization is destroyed. It's not completely decimated to the point where you can't grow anything and all the life is dead. It's not that bad, but it's definitely
pretty fine actually.
But they do some lip service and do mention that it is harder. They don't have giant farms with all the crops and stuff. Food is a bit of a problem.
They have a lot less people to maintain though, so it's not a huge deal.
Yeah. Well, there was definitely a huge deal about bringing the freedom ships at the end. So
Yes,
we'll get to that.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so Bismarck and Takeru have an adventure going across country. They meet up with those wacky jackasses.
A bunch of like weirdo hippies in a bus, and they have like the awesome classic American road trip. Is not the way I thought that was going to go.
They do.
It was funny.
And they do make their way to Florida, and they do meet Ao, who was the girl in the picture that he found on the moon that he came all the way there to see. And apparently her father was actually trying to be an astronaut, trying to send a mission to the moon.
Yeah.
20 years earlier, which is way after the collapse
to like
of
tell
civilization.
them that they were still in one piece.
Unfortunately, the launch didn't work, and her father died, and all sorts of bad shit, right? So the plot here, so there's
a lot of them just hanging out with everybody at that village.
Yes, there's a lot of getting to know people on Earth. There's the basic plot is they decide we're going to go back to the moon because we want to reestablish relations between the Earth and the moon and bring people and do whatever, right? They're very optimistic.
He wants to bring her up to the moon because she wanted to see.
They jump ahead 2.5 years, and they go back and give you some little montage
tidbits.
Stuff and tidbits where they actually put a rocket together, and Ao and Takeru are going back to the moon. And Bismarck's going to stay behind because he's got his special lady now on the Earth.
Yeah, right.
And he's going to the moon. So they do indeed go back to the moon. And then the last episode focuses on like kind of overthrowing the regime. It's more like getting more people off the moon. Now they've introduced this other thing too, this other MacGuffin, which is the freedom ships, which were the ships that were going to terraform and colonize Mars. And instead they're like, well, let's just send them to Earth to kind of help fix the environment.
Yeah, basically.
And push things along. Because like I said, the environment doesn't look that bad, but it's also not, it hasn't really completely recovered.
Yeah.
I don't think they do the best job there of making it look like it's as blasted as they say it is.
Because, I mean, everything in Florida is pretty green.
Yeah. So, anyway, Ao and Takeru do land on the moon. They obviously get captured, but then, all his old friends are there.
Like Alan and
Tyra.
Yeah, they're all up to no good because they were planning on escaping anyway.
But then Cosimo, who we went back for, is now like a shill for the regime.
Yeah.
Although...
kind of, not really.
Kind of, like, I don't know, it's strange. Like, I can't work out whether he had a change of heart or whether he was kind of helping all along. It's hard to tell. So there's capturing on the moon and all sorts of stuff happens. I don't want to ruin the last episode because the last episode's kind of interesting with what they do. Spoilers, they obviously get back to Earth. A lot more people get back to Earth and they start the farming and stuff. And then Takeru's like, no, I'm going to stay on the moon and fight the moon. And we got to overthrow this regime and whatever. That all works out. It's fine. So
Takeru's a fucking maniac.
Takeru's a maniac. He is a complete maniac. Anyway, what are you going to say? What are your feelings about Freedom?
Going into it, I expected absolutely nothing except like a wacky Cup Noodles commercial. That was my only interest in it. And I
expected something way less serious.
I got a really goddamn good anime. Like,
yeah.
I would fucking recommend this to anybody. Like, even if you're just getting into anime, perfect entry point. It's like great story, great characters. It's got like everything you like.
Decent animation.
Yeah, like, and it's like old CG too. So I expected it to be terrible.
Yeah.
And it's not that terrible.
It's from 2006.
I mean, it looks like CG, but it's not bad.
The quality is... It's not as good as Trigun, but it's not that much worse.
Nah. I mean, you get weird facial expressions sometimes, but that's about it.
It's a little more simplistic.
But that's
for sure.
like, that might be design stuff too. Because, it's got those Otomo designs.
It has excellent art direction.
Yeah, it really does.
And art direction matters more than the technology, as we've talked about before.
Yeah, now they use it wisely.
The reason a game like, an old game like Dark Souls still looks pretty good, even though it's, it's dated, and other games from the time period don't, is because of good art direction. Art direction makes up for a lot.
Yeah.
And the art direction here is great because you got those crazy Otomo freaking bikes and whatever else.
Oh, yeah. It's just like, it's just a good story. Like, no doomers allowed. Like, it's just a good, like, white pill of a story. You know what I mean? Like, you feel good at the end. Like, everybody kind of...
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody wins, but it's good. It's a nice, like, lighthearted story. I like it.
So apparently, I echo everything you said. It's great. I recommend it highly. It's just it's a very good anime. It's good sci-fi. It's not quite hard sci-fi, but it's close.
Yeah.
And it's just entertaining.
Close
it's a good adventure story. It's a good coming of age story. Really, it's just a good story.
It's really got a little bit of everything. Like
it really does.
Pretty fantastic.
There's also apparently a novel series. 3 novels that
cool.
follow Kazuma's side of the story.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
That's kind of neat.
I actually like to read
I don't think they're available in
I doubt
English,
you can
but
get them in English.
still
That's too
pretty
bad.
cool. It'd be interesting to see because I will say this is the kind of thing that would have actually benefited from being like a 12-episode series.
Oh, they could have stretched it out and it wouldn't have been bad at all.
And I'm not saying, I shouldn't even say
because
stretched,
mean, they kind of skipped all the Kazuma stuff. They're just dumping on you at the end. You know what I mean?
That was because I didn't mind the 2-year skip when they decided to make the rocket and then they went back and showed some of the stuff because that's fine because nothing really big is going to happen in there. So that's just kind of padding, right? So that was fine. But the Kazuma stuff was a bit jarring.
Well, yeah, they get back in the moon. They're like, Kazuma is too smart and he knows too much, so we just made him elite so we could watch him. That was basically their story.
And it's just they definitely could have used a little fleshing out there for sure.
Yes, I would love to see that.
I don't know quite how you do it. Maybe you just could turn that last episode into a movie. Maybe it needs to be like an hour and a half instead of just. I want to say it was longer. I do want to say that last episode was not a half hour. It felt like it was 45 minutes or so.
It was probably like 40, 45 minutes.
It was 45 minutes. It could have been an hour and a half, and that might have done enough.
Yeah.
To kind of solve that problem. But yeah, I don't know. Excellent series.
Cup noodles only got so much money.
And seafood cup noodles now too. Probably they only have 2 flavors, only regular and seafood. Even though there's like 20 damn flavors of cup noodle, and you can only get seafood on Earth, and you can only get the regular version in space. And somehow they're still manufacturing cup noodles on Earth.
Yes,
when they've basically been bombed back to the Stone Age plus rocketry. It's a little weird. Don't question it.
Well,
it still has to be a commercial.
They're agrarian, plus there's enough people left over that know how
they wouldn't
to,
be making fucking cup noodles.
Jerry rig
Yes,
rockets together.
Which
but
makes
they
sense.
would not be manufacturing cup noodles because they wouldn't be manufacturing like styrofoam bowl, like cups and shit.
It makes perfect sense when it's on the moon and they have all the same stuff you would have. They have
exactly.
all the kitschy garbage you would have at shopping malls and whatever else, right?
Precisely.
But on Earth, that was silly. That was probably the silliest conceit for the sponsor.
Yeah, and it's not really that bad. So.
This is the special flavor from Earth.
Right.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Anyway, super highly recommend. I mean, talk about hidden gems. Like, you would never expect that to be any good.
Very surprised. Pleasantly so.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you pick a good one.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Yep. That's pretty much it. So, as usual, have a fantastic week. Don't trust the government. Don't go to Ohio.
Sorry, Ohio.
Yeah, sorry, Ohio. I'm actually really sorry, Ohio.
Yeah, seriously.
Because you're going to have like an unpleasant cancer rate in 5 years. Anyway, on that note, peace out.
Peace. Well, that's all for today, everyone. We'd like to thank all of you for tuning into another episode of the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour. Please remember to like and subscribe, and may your entertainment be always, entertaining.